Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Clear Politics Takeaway for Tuesday, March 15th. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of Real Clear Politics.
I'm Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief.
Good morning, Carl.
Beware the Ides of March, Tom.
Indeed.
Especially if you're Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, let's talk about that, Carl. There was a whole lot of talk yesterday about, crazy talk, in my opinion, about opening Department of Justice investigations. Whoopi Goldberg on The View suggested that, we should go back to arresting people who hold these views, speaking specifically of Tulsi Gabbard and Tucker Carlson. Mitt Romney had tweeted out that Tulsi Gabbard was guilty of treasonous behavior and was going to cost American lives. Tucker Carlson responded on his show last night with an 18-minute monologue, basically saying, that anybody who asks these questions or talks about anything other than towing the conventional wisdom in Washington is suddenly now considered a traitor and should be thrown in jail. That seems kind of Putin-y, Carl. It seems a little fascist. Where is all this urge to censor and shut down folks and say, look, if basically that you are a Russian agent, that you are mouthing Russian disinformation or Russian propaganda, if you are doing anything what Tucker or Tulsi are doing?
Well, you remember there was a couple of things I thought of. The first is that Hillary Clinton said something similar about Tulsi Gabbard in a presidential primary and kind of got away with it. And and in Romney's case, a remark came to mind. The late great John McCain once said, I was talking to him. I wasn't even really an interview. I'd run into him in a restaurant. He was talking to me. You remember how McCain would sometimes just talk in stream of consciousness, not unlike Tucker Carlson, I guess. And he was running in a primary. I forget what year it was. And he said, 5 sons. Couldn't a guy or any of his sons, couldn't one of them served in the military? And it took me a minute to realize he was talking about Mitt Romney. Right. And I thought of this last night because I thought, okay, I don't, Mitt Romney's certainly able to talk about anything he wants to because he didn't serve in the military. But Tulsi Gabbard did serve this country in uniform. And for people to question her patriotism or accuse her of treason, that kind of loose talk doesn't sit well with me, Tom. And my own view is that what she's saying, some of the things she said and some of the things Tucker Carlson said about Russia and Ukraine are deeply irresponsible and wrong. But calling people traitors, saying they should be arrested. I mean, this is what Putin does. This is what Vladimir Putin does. He arrests people who use words he doesn't like. One of the words he doesn't like is war. Another words he doesn't like is invasion, while his country's invading Ukraine and basically waging war on an innocent people. So this is like the codicil to that thing we talked about a year ago. Why do the people who most detest Donald Trump, why do they act like him the most? And now we've got the asterisk to that. People who hate Putin the most are like calling for the Vladimir Putin press relations, arrest people who you don't like what they say. It is crazy. You're right.
This is one of the most disturbing things to me about our current situation. And this goes back, a couple of years when we talk about, COVID and the lab leak theory and ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or the movement by, social media, tech giants, some of the media to basically try and dismiss and censor, right? Basically say, this is a fringe theory. This is we can't talk about that. It's verboten. And, Twitter's shutting people down. Facebook's banning people. I get the idea that we don't want to spread misinformation. But again, it comes back to the question, well, exactly who gets to determine what misinformation is? The point that Tucker Carlson made last night on his show, Carl, is that, Victoria Nuland actually admitted in testimony before Congress that...
Tom, don't go there. Don't go into Biolabs.
I'm just, Carl.
What are we going to have
the word
QAnon
Biolab
on this show next?
Forbidden. Okay, it is not forbidden.
Tom, you should be arrested for what you
exactly.
Said.
You're like Mitt Romney. I am treasonous for mentioning the word Biolab.
No,
but I mean,
Tom,
set that aside. Aside, Carl. I mean, just more broadly, who gets to decide which topics are off limits? Which topics are suddenly, if you talk about them, this is disinformation from Russia or from China or from wherever. right?
Well, that's the serious point here. And Tom, I mean, Tucker's got nothing on me. I wrote a 6,700 word piece for us on Joe Rogan and Spotify. I hate censorship, but that doesn't mean, because intemperate voices on the left are calling for these people to be silenced, doesn't mean the people they're wanting to silence are correct, as you pointed out. And look, what Russia's done in Ukraine is immoral and illegal, and it's a menace to the world order. I believe that. I think that's self-evident. I think anybody who doesn't believe that is really fooling themselves.
Is there anybody who doesn't believe that?
But I don't question their patriotism, and I don't call for them to be arrested. And I just think that I think people have to get a grip in this country on what constitutes political discourse. And you know what Tucker Carlson and Tulsi Gabbard are allowed to say, their birthright as an American is anything they want. It's really that simple. The job of their critics is to point out where they're wrong, not try and silence them. I keep saying this, and I will keep saying it, Tom.
All right. Keep saying it, Carl. We'll leave it there for this morning. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of Real Clear Politics.
I'm Carl Cannon. This has been the Real Clear Politics takeaway for Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. Beware the Ides of March.